Part 20.17 Surah Taha, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. The narrative of Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, is a tapestry woven not only with the grand tales of triumph over tyranny, but also with the intricate personal struggles of faith, obedience, and the eternal dance between divine mercy and human frailty. After their magnificent salvation from Pharaoh and the subsequent provision of divine sustenance, the Israelites were set on a new path, a path of freedom and direct communion with Allah. The verses before us now describe this critical transition, a time of both profound blessings and a terrible spiritual test. We will witness the new divine commands, the beautiful promise of forgiveness, and the beginning of Prophet Moses' peace be upon him, intimate conversation with his Lord at Mount Sinai. Conversation that would be abruptly interrupted by a shocking revelation of his people's betrayal. It is a poignant segment that highlights the human tendency to forget and the magnificent breadth of divine grace. From a Sufi perspective, this narrative is a deep exploration of the nature of spiritual responsibility after deliverance. The Israelites were freed from physical bondage, but their hearts remained susceptible to the whispers of illusion. Allah's command to eat of the pure things is not just about sustenance. It is a spiritual instruction, a reminder that the path to divine closeness requires both external purity and internal moderation. The subsequent promise of forgiveness is a beautiful lesson in Allah's boundless mercy, which is always waiting for the sincere servant who chooses to return to him. Prophet Moses' peace be upon him, act of rushing to his Lord, is a beautiful symbol of spiritual yearning and sincere love, a profound example of the state of shock or spiritual longing. His conversation with Allah, so intimate and personal, is the epitome of the state of Qalb, or divine closeness. The subsequent revelation of his people's betrayal, while tragic, serves to remind us that the human journey is fraught with trials, and that a single moment of spiritual inattention can lead to a great fall. Kanzal Iman, Quran, Taha, 2281, 85-81. Eat of the pure things we have provided for you, and do not be excessive in it, lest my wrath descend upon you. And he upon whom my wrath descends, indeed he is ruined. 2. And indeed I am most forgiving to him who repents, and believes, and does righteous deeds, and then is rightly guided. 83. And what caused you, O Musa, to rush from your people? 84, he said, they are following in my footsteps, and I have rushed to you, my Lord, so that you may be pleased. 85, he said, then indeed we have tested your people after you, and the Samiri has led them astray. The verses begin with a divine command in the 81st verse. Eat of the pure things we have provided for you, and do not be excessive in it, lest my wrath descend upon you. And he upon whom my wrath descends, indeed he is ruined. This is a direct instruction to the Israelites, who are now receiving the miraculous provision of manna and quails. The command to eat of the pure things is a blessing, a divine allowance of the good and wholesome things in life. But the second part of the command, do not be excessive in it, is a profound spiritual warning. The word excessive, tugging, signifies rebellion or transgression, and it is a powerful reminder that even a blessing, when consumed without moderation and gratitude, can become a source of spiritual ruin. The warning that follows is stark, lest my wrath descend upon you. And he upon whom my wrath descends, indeed he is ruined. The word ruined, hab, signifies a complete and utter fall, a state of spiritual bankruptcy. This verse teaches us that true spiritual freedom is not a license for unbridled consumption, but a responsibility to live a life of gratitude, balance, and moderation. The Sufi understands that the path to Allah is a path of the middle way, where one avoids the extremes of both excessive self-indulgence and spiritual neglect. As a beautiful counterpoint to the warning of wrath, the 82nd verse provides a magnificent promise of forgiveness and mercy. And indeed I am most forgiving to him who repents and believes and does righteous deeds and then is rightly guided. This verse is a universal and timeless promise that stands as a beacon of hope for all humanity. Allah is declaring his boundless mercy, a mercy that is always available to the sincere servant. The verse outlines 4 essential conditions for this forgiveness. The first is repentance. TBA, a sincere turning away from sin. The second is believes imana, deep and unwavering faith in Allah. The third is does righteous deeds, amal saleha, a life lived in obedience to the divine commands. The fourth is rightly guided atad, a state of continuous seeking and following the path of truth. This verse beautifully summarizes the entire spiritual journey. A journey that begins with a turning back to Allah, is founded on faith, is expressed through action, and is completed by a state of constant guidance. It reassures us that no matter how great the sin, Allah's mercy is always greater, and His forgiveness is always a path back to a state of spiritual purity. The narrative shifts to a private, intimate conversation between Allah and Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, in the 83rd verse. And what caused you, O Musa, to rush from your people? This is a divine question, not born of ignorance, but of a loving and gentle inquiry. Allah knows why Moses, peace be upon him, rushed, but the question is meant to elicit a response that will reveal the depth of his devotion. The question, which may seem like a rebuke, is in fact a profound moment of intimacy between the Creator and His servant. It highlights the divine attention to the smallest details of the lives of the prophets and the righteous. Moses, peace be upon him, had left his people in a rush not born of impatience, but of a profound spiritual longing to meet his Lord at the appointed time. Prophet Moses's, peace be upon him, response in the 84th verse is a beautiful and concise statement of spiritual longing and sincere devotion. Said, they are following in my footsteps, and I have rushed to you, my Lord, so that you may be pleased. His answer is twofold. First, he reassures Allah about his people. They are following in my footsteps, a statement of trust in their commitment. Second, he reveals the pure spiritual motive behind his rush. I have rushed to you, my Lord, so that you may be pleased. This is the ultimate goal of the sincere servant. He is not rushing for knowledge or for power, but for the sake of divine pleasure, Ridwan. This beautiful response is a profound lesson for the Sufi. The true goal of all spiritual effort, all worship, and all striving is not the attainment of paradise or the avoidance of hell, but the single-minded pursuit of Allah's pleasure. This act of rushing is an expression of His passionate love, a spiritual state of shauq and ishq that longs for union with the divine. It is the purest and noblest of all intentions, a testament to the beautiful relationship between a servant and his Lord. The conversation, which had been so intimate and full of spiritual longing, takes a sudden and tragic turn in the 85th verse. He said, Then indeed we have tested your people after you, and the Samiri has led them astray, Allah informs Moses, peace be upon him, of the great trial that has befallen his people during his absence. The word tested, fatan, signifies a profound and severe trial that has exposed their inner weakness. The source of this trial is a character named the Samiri, who is revealed to be the one who led them astray. This revelation is a shock to Moses, peace be upon him. He had left his people under the watch of his brother, Haroon, peace be upon him, and with a trust in their newfound freedom. But the human heart, even when freed from physical bondage, is still vulnerable to the deceptions of a spiritual enemy. This verse is a profound reminder that the spiritual journey is not a single miraculous event, but a continuous state of struggle, and that a moment of inattention, a moment of spiritual weakness, can lead to a terrible fall from grace. The Samiri, an insignificant figure until now, becomes the symbol of a spiritual virus that infects the heart and leads it back to its old ways of worshipping material idols. Hadith, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught, Verily, Allah does not look at your physical forms or your wealth, but He looks at your hearts and your deeds. Sahih Muslim Hadith, 2564. This profound hadith beautifully reflects the spiritual principles at play in this narrative. While Pharaoh's worldview was based on worldly power, physical forms, and outward show, Prophet Moses' peace be upon him, interaction with Allah was based on the purity of his heart and the sincerity of his deeds. His act of rushing to his Lord was not a physical act but a spiritual one, born of a heart that was so pure in its intention that it sought only the pleasure of Allah. The Israelites, on the other hand, had been saved physically, but they failed the spiritual test of their hearts. Turning to an idol even after witnessing the magnificent signs of Allah, this hadith reminds us that our true value is not in our external appearances or our worldly status, but in the spiritual state of our hearts and the sincerity of our actions. Let us now supplicate. drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. Ya Allah, grant us the sincerity to seek your pleasure in all that we do. Purify our hearts so that we may not be swayed by worldly temptations, and guide us on a straight path so that we may never fall into the hands of those who lead astray. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ilm. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. The peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, ArRahman and ArRahim. Ameen.